All right, before we gavel this meeting, we have Trish Hoover and one of her associates that she's going to introduce with United Way / Meals on Wheels that wants to speak. So please come to the podium. You're welcome to do so.
Thank you. Hi, we're honored to be here today. This is Becky Wright, who's the director of Meals on Wheels of Central Alabama.
Okay.
And today she oversaw...
Is your microphone on? I'm just asking. I don't know. There it is. It is. Good.
Today she oversaw the delivery of 825 lunches. She will do the same tomorrow. So she's a very busy person. What you have in front of you is a request to the City of Homewood. We've never come to you before to support Meals on Wheels. United Way has run Meals on Wheels for just a few years. We were asked by the Jefferson County Commission to take over Meals on Wheels when it folded. And so with just 2 weeks' notice, we tooled up. We are temporarily operating out of the kitchen at the Cooper Green Hospital on UAB campus, and we've had lots of challenges in trying to shore up this program. But you'll see that we really are making a wonderful impact and have had a great working relationship with the Homewood Senior Center. And so if you'll just take a look at that request, we did put a financial impact, because I know that's how you guys roll, that if you look at the value of the meals served at both the Senior Center and through home delivered meals, and then add the value of volunteer hours, and that's no small matter. All those 825 meals are delivered by this core of volunteers, which is just mind-blowing. So under Becky's watch, we've really strengthened the program. It's rocking and rolling. We do have a waiting list for the City of Homewood. And so while she talks about the program just a tad, I'm also going to hand out, I want you all to know that United Way also operates the Area Agency on Aging for Jefferson County. That is also new. We were also asked to take that over. Because of United Way's capacity and history in the community, we were trusted to do that. And y'all, it's a bear. But anyway, it's 12 programs just for seniors and their caregivers. And I didn't know much about it, do now, but I'm going to give you this that details the programs in there and want you to help us get the word out. Call 1-800-AGE-LINE. Whatever you need, we can hook you up. So take it away, Becky.
Thank you. Ms. Wright?
Like Trish said, I'm Becky Wright. I'm the director of Meals on Wheels. Right now in Homewood, we have 2 Meals on Wheels routes. There's enough of a need that we actually have to have 2 delivery routes. And so what we do is we deliver lunch to homebound seniors Monday through Friday between about 11 and 12-ish, depending on volunteers' lunch hour. And so what that looks like for us is those volunteers show up at the senior center, the meals are prepped to go, and those volunteers, take them out across the city. So it has been an incredible journey for us and certainly an impact for the city, as Trish said. I'm wondering if anyone has any questions on it before I go any. No
I don't think so.
That's impressive.
This sheet, by the way, is very comprehensive. This is good. Thank you.
Good deal.
Gives us something, or gives the mayor something to look at, and us.
Yes, sir. Thank you. This does it's kind of it's a pretty good overview of what we do here in Homewood and across Jefferson County. I will mention that this particular Meals on Wheels, they work by catchment area, and so we operate just in Jefferson County here in the area. So that's how we operate. Like Trish said, we are moving to centralizing our operations at our new kitchen. Hopefully next year, and that will just further prop up the program and help us to serve even more. We do have a bit of a waiting list in Homewood as well, as Trish mentioned. We are actively working to completely eliminate our waiting list at Meals on Wheels. I will tell you that has been that's pretty much this year's goal. When we took over Meals on Wheels toward the end of 2016, there was, I would say, roughly over 3,000 people waiting to be served. And the reason I say roughly was because some of it was electronic, some of it was on sticky notes, some of it was on random papers. And so what we had to do is go through every piece of that and streamline it, and get it put into one system, one database, so that we know who needs what and how to best serve them. And so this whole year has been all about removing that barrier, both for us and for the people that we serve, and that includes here in Homewood. And what that means is we connect with every single one of those people. Our case manager, we have 2 social workers and a third who's our admin, who's also a social worker, that actually goes to their home and sees what all's going on with them, because oftentimes, as you know, you go in and you think they just need food and they need 10 other things. And so for us, it's certainly a service of the heart, but there's quite a number of needs just here in this city. And so I can think of specific people that we've reached out to, law enforcement to help us with, to do further do safety checks, which we do as well. The firemen have helped us out here in Homewood, and so we're really grateful. I just wanted to bring them up for their relationship, because they've helped us on a number of occasions, just making sure seniors are safe. So.
All right. Well, thank you, Ms. Wright. We appreciate your presentation, and again, we'll certainly look at this for the next budget, which we'll have budget hearings in September. Okay.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
I appreciate
okay.
you.
All right. We will now call this meeting to order, and we'll start with an invocation that we've asked Mr. Jones to conduct. Following that, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand with me.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for our many blessings. Let us all remember our freedom as we've just celebrated Independence Day in our country. We thank you for all the many blessings in Homewood. Thank you for all of the employees that keep us safe, take care of our needs, and always look out for our neighbors. May you be with us tonight as we deliberate various issues, and always guide us. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Again, Ms. Hoover and Ms. Wright, thank you for being here. We appreciate it. Roll call, please.
Yes, sir. Mr. Gwaltney? Here. Mr. Thames? Here. Mr. Higginbotham? Here. Mr. Wolverton? Mr. McCluskey?
Here.
Mr. Jones? Mrs. Smith? Mr. Wyatt?
Here.
Mrs. Andress? Mr. Wright?
Here.
And Mr. Limbaugh.
Here.
You got 3 absent, but you got a quorum.
Okay. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Ms. Salter. The next item would be the reading of the minutes from June 24th, 2019, our last meeting. The chair would welcome a dispensing of the reading and approval of said minutes, and welcome a motion and a second for such. Motion from Mr. McCluskey, second from Mr. Gwaltney. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And that is approved. All right, we've got quite a few board vacancies and appointments. We're going to reopen several items. We're going to reopen these 3 at-large Hydra positions that were closed on 7/8. Let's see if we can run that through what's the second meeting of August? Because we're going to try something a little differently this time. We're going to see if we can. Okay. First, so then it'd be 26th. Yeah. Okay. Let's run them through the the afternoon of the 26th, and say 5 o'clock. And we're going to look at the possibility. 5:30. Okay. 4:30 works fine. So we can. Mr. Wallace is going to help us get the city signed up on LinkedIn. Did I say that correctly? You can tell that I don't have an account, but I think this is something that could be beneficial to encourage citizens to be a part of this. So, again, we will reopen that until the 26th at 4:30. The at-large Historical Preservation Commission position, which, out of deference to one of our council members that would like to leave the two applicants from Ward 3 to be interviewed, then we'll reopen that one for the same period as well. And Mayor, hope you get someone that would be interested in that. Then Ward 2, the Hydra position, Scott Dean did apply for it. Mr. Higginbotham?
And I believe Mr. Dean was the only applicant for it, and I
He
think
was.
it closes today, if I'm not mistaken. So I would nominate Scott Dean for the Ward 2 position.
Okay. All right. Motion by Mr. Higginbotham, second by Mr. McCluskey. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? I think Mr. Dean will be a valuable addition to that group. That's the Hydra Board, IDB, CDA.
But it's Hydra, I know for sure it's Will.
Yeah,
Mr. Chairman, can I clarify one thing?
go ahead.
Those at-large positions, did we not receive an application for one of the at-large?
No, we received 2 applications for the Ward 3, is what I was told.
I'm talking about the Hydra. I thought I'd seen an email from Melody this afternoon. That
I understand. And frankly, Miss Smith has asked that,
No, there was a Hydra at-large.
I understand. Miss Smith is,
Okay. That's fine.
you're right, I'm confusing the email, okay.
There
you're
were 2 for
absolutely-
the Ward 3. I understood that Ms. Smith had asked for that to be held over, but I just thought there was one for one of the at-large slots in the Hydra. And if we want to wait and do them all at once, that's fine with me. I just wanted to make sure that I was right about that.
There was a guy that wanted, that, you
Yes.
thought there was an applicant for the at-large Hydra, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
There was a gentleman that sent his resume and he preferred the planning commission, but he said he would take the Hydra but he preferred the planning commission, so I think they were gonna wait and not appoint that tonight.
I just wanted to understand.
No. More specifically, there's a meeting scheduled tomorrow night for the Planning Commission, and we certainly wanted the mayor to have an opportunity to have some conversations about that particular possibility. And I'm going to defer to him, okay? All right. The Ward 2 Arts Advisory Council position, again, same situation. We'll extend it to 4:30 on August the 26th. All right, the Ward 3 Historic Preservation Commission, Ms. Smith has asked that we interview both of those applicants, and we will do that. Lastly, we will reopen the Ward 3 Cable Commission, and we'll make that till August the 26th. But again, I think if we put it out on another social media choice, we might have some applicants that we haven't seen to this point. Okay. Lastly, Ms. Salter's going to work with Mr. White, and I think, are the interviews already set for the Ward 4?
Well, yes, sir. I was going to make sure everybody was okay with it, but we have the candidates scheduled. I was going to send an invite after we got through for tomorrow, Mr. Copeland at 5:30 and Miss Allen at 6 tomorrow.
Great. Good. Thank you. Anyone who can attend that with Mr. White, that would be a good thing. All right, next item, consent agenda. There is nothing. So we'll move on to old business. 160619, public hearing set for July 8th at 6 p.m. to consider declaring the property located at 1117 Hardwick Lane, Homewood, a public nuisance due to violation of ordinances 1910 and 1750, excessive growth. First, let's open the public hearing. Mr. Cook.
Oh, yes. This has been an ongoing issue for quite some time on that property. It's owned by Nicole Johnson at 1117 Hardwick Lane. Notices were sent out, also sent out to Penny Mac, who is the lien holder that is foreclosing on the property. Penny Mac attorney called me and told me that it was in bankruptcy at the time, and until they got that lifted, they could not go on the property and clean it up. Went ahead and sent notices out so that when that did happen, they would already be served. The attorney called me 2 days after they had the public hearing, or the bankruptcy hearing, and it was lifted. And within 2 days, they did come and cut the grass. And I have emphasized him that they need to stay on top of that, and they're very much aware of that. So right now, it is in compliance.
So at this point, your recommendation would be?
Need to drop it.
Okay, I understand. All right, is there anyone else who wants to speak to this particular matter? You're welcome to do so. If not, we will close this, and motion from Mr. McCluskey, second from Mr. Wright. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And that is handled.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right, 320619, public hearing set for tonight for consideration of a variance to the sign ordinance at 109 Wildwood Parkway, requested by Greg Cobb and BEZ. We'll start with a report from Special Issues. Mr. Higginbotham.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. The committee met and we voted 4-0 to refer this back to the full council without recommendation pending the public hearing. The motion was made by Councilor McCluskey and seconded by Councilor Gwaltney.
All right, thank you, sir, and we will open this public hearing. Mr. Cobb.
Yes, sir. This is a request for an additional sign. All businesses in Wildwood are allowed 2 signs. Because Yummy Bowl has got kind of 2 entrances that you can't see one from the other, they've elected to ask for this sign shown here, which is out on the street. It meets our ordinances to size, but it's a 3rd sign because there's 2 on the building, 1 over each entrance. And the entrances are 90 degrees to each other, if y'all remember the way the old, I guess that was Old Charlie's or something was. Also, the big pole sign you see standing over the top of it has to come down, so it'll be coming down. The requirement for that sign, size-wise, it's fine. It's supposed to be 12 feet behind our right-of-way line. They're showing it 20 behind the curb. I need to check that to make sure that's still at 12 feet, as long as that doesn't put it in their parking lot. But I imagine if they back it up to where the existing pole sign is, that should be right.
All right, thank you, sir. Any questions for Mr. Cobb? Mr. Jones.
A couple of questions. So that'll be a monument sign?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so will it be brick on the bottom?
I don't know what's on the bottom. Is
Well, there's
anybody here
like
from
nothing
Yummy
on the
Bowl?
bottom, so,
Yeah, there you are.
Right behind you. Yeah, the plan is just simply.
Wait a minute. Identify yourself, please.
Chris with Sinorama and representing our client Yummy Bowl. The plan there is just simply a concrete base. We can put brick around it if needed, if that's the type of thing that's required. But it's just simply a concrete base and put this rectangle sign on top of it.
okay, and then you'll remove the temporary?
Absolutely, that ugly thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'd be
So
great.
both the temporary and the pole sign go away, is that correct?
Well, yeah, the banner.
The pole sign has to come down anyway.
Yeah, the big old large pole
Wow.
sign is more than you can even see there because that's the old Charlie's. And of course, we've known from day one that's got to come down. And then, of course, that banner, of course, will come down as well,
All right,
to
thank
the
you.
left there.
Understand. All right, any other questions, gentlemen? All right, thank you. I appreciate it. Is there anyone else who wants to speak to this matter? If there is not, we will close this public hearing. Any comments from council?
Did I hear the applicant proffer a brick base on the monument sign?
We had proposed just a concrete base, but we can do brick, that's no problem.
Okay, so the answer to that is yes, correct?
Yes, we can.
All right. Chair would welcome a motion in a second. Mr. Jones?
I would move to approve, it's just an additional sign, right, Mr. Cobb?
Yes.
An additional sign with the proffer of the brick facing as a monument and taking down the temporary and the pole sign as part of that.
Second.
All right.
Mr.
Motion from
Lamont, I
Mr.
have
Jones, second from Mr. Wright.
One
I'm
more
sorry.
question.
Yes.
Mr. Cobb, how long has the pole sign been abandoned?
Sir, I really don't know. I don't remember when it went out of business. It's been probably at least a year.
So long enough for, no matter what, the pole sign has to come down.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions? Mr. McCluskey?
Yes. How far along, and Britt, you may know this more, are we with the new sign ordinance?
Pretty close. They did their public hearing or public involvement portion, was it the week before, the 4th?
Yeah.
And I think we should be expecting a draft, and we also had the city portion of that meeting, a draft probably by the end of the month. So
Okay.
it's close.
Okay. Well, and the reason I ask is that, you know, we're right on the cusp of having a new ordinance in place, and you know, I personally, I think that they could probably go with the allowable signs now, and if they wanted to come ask for a variance after the new ordinance is in place, they could do that. So that's just my opinion.
I don't think the new sign ordinance changes
There's an overlay along with, that's correct.
All right.
Okay.
All right, good point. Thank you for the clarification. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All right, so we'll do a roll call.
Mr. Gwaltney?
No.
Mr. Thames?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Higginbotham?
No.
Mr. McCluskey?
No.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Wyatt? Mr. Wright?
Yes.
And Mr. Limbaugh?
Yes, so that unfortunately is no, okay? Thank you very much. That's a 5-3 vote. 3 yes, 5 no. Okay, we'll move on. 020619, request to authorize the mayor to sign the Historic Commission grant application for Union Baptist Church in Rosedale, requested by Barry Smith. Just as a reminder, can Mr. Higginbotham, can you do a report from special issues?
Yes, sir. This actually came before special issues in June, on the June 17th meeting, and the committee met, and after hearing from Susan Zuber of the Historic Preservation Committee, we voted 4-0 to recommend approval. The motion was actually made by me, because I wasn't chairing, and seconded by Councilor Andrus.
All right, good. Thank you very much. So we have a motion from Special Issues. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That is unanimous, and that is Resolution 19101. Thank you. 160115, update on past, present, and future sidewalk projects requested by Building, Engineering, and Zoning Department. We'll start with a report from Finance, Mr. Jones.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. The Finance Committee met on July the 1st and voted 4-0 to recommend approval of the bid for Rumson Road to Tomahawk Construction. The amount is $290,696.80. This is going to require an amendment of the 18-19 capital budget by funding $150,000 from capital carryover fund balance to capital account 12-11-581751 sidewalk construction. Mr. Wright made the motion, and Councilor Higginbotham seconded the motion. So 4-0 coming out of Finance.
Good, thank you. I asked Mr. Cobb to come up here. Are there any questions or comments that
Yes, sir.
you'd like to direct it
Quick
to him?
question.
Yes, Mr.
Just going to
Thames.
see if you had an opportunity to see what Coker would do to the overall cost of the project.
It was $25 a cubic yard, which really surprised me. I thought it was closer to 8. So it added $12,000 and change to the project by my estimate of how many, well, the project is not in cubic yards, it's actually in square yards. But I made a rough estimate on that run of sidewalk. It's quite a lot of sidewalk. And I came up with, let's see, 502 yards is what I came up with.
I agree, that's at least twice as much as I would have
Yeah,
anticipated.
12,550. The last time I filled with that stuff, it was about $8. And I asked the contractor, I want straight up price, no cost added. What is it from the manufacturer? $25 a yard. You know, I hate that white sidewalk, but it discolors easily enough, especially since that's so shady over there. All the leaves from the trees and dirt and everything will tone it down fairly quickly. But when it's brand new, it looks just like this paper. So,
Well, I'll leave it up to the council to decide. That's more expensive than I would have anticipated.
I'm right there with you.
I do think that it's a better look. But either way, let's make sure we get a sidewalk.
We're ready to get the sidewalk. I did talk to contractor, said last week twice about this issue. And if y'all will go ahead and approve the contract tonight, he plans to move on site by Wednesday.
All right,
Up to you.
thank you. Well, procedurally, we have a motion from finance. So I think we vote that up or vote it down. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Mr. Cobb. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so that is approved, and that is Resolution 19102.
And can I make one quick
Sure.
comment? Just so that Mr. Wright feels a little better. Sometimes we've been frustrated by the cost of these, but the fact of the matter is that the terrain in Ward 5 is challenging. I mean, that is really what has caused the high cost of all this. So there's no reason to punish you for that. This is the way it is. And right, we have some terrain in Ward 3, but not like all of Ward 5. It seems like it's. So anyway, just wanted to mention that.
Thank
Mr.
you.
President, if I could, I'd like to,
Sure.
while we're on the topic, the way our sidewalk budget is set up, we know we zeroed it out and had to borrow funds to do this project. We had a separate line item in there for repairs and wheelchair ramps. If it's okay, I don't know how you moved your money around, but that money I have left in that item, I'd like to do some more wheelchair ramps. I'm trying to march in some sort of a reasonable fashion through town and spreading outwards, and like I did other projects where I started at schools and moved outwards. Still working on those things, and I wanted to ask before I touch any of those funds if that had anything to do with how you arrange your financing.
Mr. Jones?
My feeling is you need to proceed with that. I mean,
Okay.
we budgeted that.
I just wanted to make sure this didn't mess up the
No,
budget, that's all.
No, we're
No.
still committed for that. because
We
that was
are,
a separate
and
item.
we have a plan, and it's thought out about starting with commercial districts and schools, those being our prime examples, and moving into neighborhoods from there. And it's going to take a few years, but we're going to get there.
Okay, good deal.
All right, thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you, sir. All right, 10:05:19, public hearing already open and closed on June 10th, 2019 for consideration of a variance to the fence ordinance at 3 Ventura Drive, requested by Chris Tucker, who is here, and Mr. Cobb. What is, let's see, special issues, we need a report on this latest committee item on this, because we sent it back to committee.
Yes, sir, we did, and Mr. Tucker came with a revised plan that had vegetation in the front. Well, there it is on the screen for everybody to see. And the committee met, and after reviewing the handout with the revised plan provided by Mr. Tucker, we voted 4-0 to recommend approval. The motion was made by Councilor Andrus and seconded by Councilor Gwaltney.
All right, good. So we have a report, we have a motion from special issues. Any other discussion? Because we certainly have Mr. Tucker and Mr. Cobb here. If not, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. So that is Resolution 19103, and we'll move on to 190619, request to send nomination to Jefferson County Personnel Board for appointment to the County Board of Equalization, requested by Melody Salter and myself. Again, report from Special Issues. Mr. Higginbotham, I think I'm going to be saying that sentence a great deal tonight.
I am a popular guy tonight. It's an unusual position for me.
I know.
The committee met and voted 4-0 to recommend approval of Margie George, who had been recommended by the mayor. The motion was made by Councilor Andrus and seconded by Councilor McCluskey.
All right, so we have a motion from Special Issues. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And that is Resolution 19104. 210619, request to perform grading on the edge of Fox property, requested by Brian Hatcher. Greg Cobb, report from Special Issues on this. Or let me, before we go further, Mr. Kendrick, is there a reason to send this back to committee, or?
The only reason is the email I forwarded from Horton this morning to the council. I had called or contact Andy and Britt in the discussion with Walter about sending it back. That's really up to the council. I have the resolution prepared that would essentially permit them to have the grading permit and do the landscaping that was proposed. That's really up to the council.
Okay. Mr. Higginbotham, why don't you give me your report? And as acting head of special issues, I'll certainly entertain your thoughts.
When the committee met and heard Mr. Ratliff speak from Dobbins Group, we voted 4-0 to recommend approval. The motion was made by Councilor Andrus and seconded by Councilor McCluskey. I think, as you just referenced, our attorney did send out an email this afternoon raising some questions that I'm not sure if, I can't speak for anybody on the committee, everyone on the committee, but I'm not sure everybody was clear about exactly what the implications of what we were being asked to do were. Certainly as, I guess, the acting mouthpiece for special issues this evening, I have no objection to coming back to committee and us taking another stab at it and asking some more questions and making sure that everybody's comfortable with what we're doing. But I mean, I'll leave that to the pleasure of the council as to what they want to do.
Sure, Mr. Jones. Sure.
The issue is a picture is worth 1,000 words. And you have this clear picture of a wall on your drawing and of the retaining wall, and that's what's thrown everybody off. If we can work through it, I think we can handle it tonight. That's really I think when you were talking, everyone was looking directly at your picture, that you were going to build the wall and then you were going to do the grading on next to the wall. But that is really not what you're looking for. You're going all the way up to the edge of your property and doing the grading there, which will not affect the greenway.
Yes, sir, that's correct. And
So there's no effect on the greenway, but I think there's a misconception we just need to work through, and I think we can do that tonight, maybe.
Okay. Well, I'm fairly neutral on this myself, but this has nothing to do with aesthetics, right?
It does for me to some degree. I don't want to.
Well, there you go.
Because, as a hiker and someone who gets out, I don't want to be walking on the trail and either have the runoff from the apartments run into the trail and/or have the buffer that will give me a natural protection from seeing that if I'm trying to get into nature.
Okay, so what we're going to do is send this back to committee. Y'all will be meeting next Monday night. I know that y'all are anxious to move forward, but we've got enough questions that I think we just need to carry this over. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay.
Not carry over since that happened.
I'm sorry. Well, you're right. I'm sorry.
Send it back, yeah.
Send it back to committee, to special issues. All right, 2209-19. We're going to, yes, we are, but we're also going to leave it on the agenda, so it's both. 2206-19, request for consideration to grant permission for the Shades Valley YMCA to consolidate their debt with the other YMCA's through the Public Park and Recreation Board of Jefferson County, requested by Ann Todd. And Mr. Kendrick, report from Finance, Mr. Jones.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. The committee voted 4-0 to recommend approval to allow the debt consolidation. Motion made by Mr. Wright, seconded by Mr. Higginbotham. 4-0 out of Finance.
All right, good. So we have a motion from Finance. Do we have any other discussion? If there's none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And this is Resolution 19-105, and it is approved. 2306-19, request to authorize the mayor to sign a purchase agreement with, how do you pronounce it?
Zybex.
Thank you. Furniture for 6 dispatch consoles in the new building, requested by Brandon Broadhead and Chief Bresnan with the Fire Department. Report from Finance, Mr. Jones.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. The committee met and voted 4-0 to recommend approval. This will be budgeted in the 1920 budget at $99,060, and the E911 budget, which is 15-15-58400 furniture.
Thank you.
4-0.
And as a reminder, they're building it first, and we're paying later, and that's not a bad thing. So we have a motion from Finance. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that's Resolution 19106.
Mr. President, I got one question
Yes.
about that. It's going to be paid all out of the E911 budget?
Yes.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
No problem. 250619, request for consideration of fiscal year 1819 budget amendments requested by Melody Salter and Robert Burgett. Report from Finance, Mr. Jones.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. The committee met, and after a presentation by Mr. Burgett, voted 4-0 to recommend approval of the budget amendments. We had one exception of an insurance item that was not part of that, but 4-0 to recommend approval.
All right, good. Motion from Finance. Any comments or questions on this item? There being none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And that's unanimous, and that is Resolution 19107. 260619, request for consideration of issuing requests for proposals for insurance agent for the city of Homewood, requested by Council Member Wyatt. The report from Finance is what, Mr. Jones?
Yes, sir. We met and voted 4-0 to recommend approval of setting the RFP with a deadline of August 12th, 2019 at 4:30, and we'll open the bids at 4:45.
Very good. I will say to you that my understanding is Mr. Kendrick's working on the RFP. Is that correct?
I sent it out on Wednesday.
Okay, so it has been out. Okay, good.
I mean, I sent it to Alex and Melody.
Yeah, I don't know that everyone's seen it.
No, I didn't see it, but that's okay. All right, so very simply, Finance has made the motion, and all we need is a vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, and that is approved. 270619, request for consideration to release property lien of $2,200 for property located at 2831 16th Place South, Homewood, requested by Melody Salter. And we need a report from Finance. Mr. Jones.
Yes, sir. Met and voted 4-0 to recommend approval of releasing the property lien.
All right, we have a motion from Finance. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And that's Resolution 19108, and that is approved unanimously. 280619, request for consideration to release property lien of $16,442 for property located at 2827 16th Place South, Homewood, requested by Melody Salter. We had a typo here, and therefore what the amount of the lien is $64.42 for the weed and $4,000 for the demolition. So the total would be $10,442. Report from Finance, Mr. Jones.
Yes, sir. The committee met and voted 4-0 to recommend approval of that. That we did have those numbers, but yeah, you are correct. $10,442.
All right, good. So we have a motion from Finance. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That is unanimous, and that is 19109, resolution number. 310619, request for consideration of Chamber of Commerce update. We had a presentation to special issues from Meredith Drennan, Homewood Chamber of Commerce. Mr. Higginbotham.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. After hearing from Ms. Drennan, we voted 4-0 to accept the report with Councilor McCluskey making the motion, and it's second by Councilor Walt.
Right. So with special issues, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? And that is 310619, and it is, no, I'm sorry. 310619 is approved. There's no resolution number there. Committee referral agenda. Chair would welcome a motion and a second for approval.
So moved.
Motion from Mr. McCluskey, second from Mr. Gwaltney. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. And that is approved. We move on to other new business, 100719, request to set a public hearing for consideration for a variance to the sign ordinance at 1840 Oxmoor Road, requested by John Chapman and Greg Cobb. We will set that for July 22nd, 2019 at 6 p.m. 110719, request for consideration of approval of vouchers for the period of June 25th, 2019 through July 8th, 2019. And Mr. Jones,
Mr. Higginbotham.
Mr. Higginbotham.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I was excited to be able to take over this opportunity for growth as a human being, and looked over this weekend and found them to be in order, and so I would make a motion to accept the vouchers and approve them as presented.
All right, so we have a motion from Mr. Higginbotham. Do we have a second? Second from Mr. Jones. Nope. Well,
Yeah.
okay, well, we'll make it Mr. Wright.
Yeah, Mr. Wright can have it.
It was simultaneous, but I'll accept Mr. Wright's, okay? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And that is 19110, resolution number, and that is unanimous. And we come to the end of our agenda. Now, Mr. Jones, there's been a special request by Mr. Wright. He needs 15 minutes for Public Works at 5 o'clock.
That would be fine.
You know, it makes no difference if I follow, because I'm going to be at finance too, so I have both.
I understand that,
So-
but
That's fine.
I'm honoring your request. Did
Gotcha.
you not make that request to me?
Yes, I just wanted to make sure I was going to attend finance too. so.
Okay, so I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll start on this end. We never do that.
Boy, now that's what I like.
Mr. Wright?
To speak first? Yes, yes, sir. Actually, I really don't have anything tonight other than setting Public Works. I don't even know how to set Public Works at 5 PM, but do I need to do it at 5:30 or is 5 PM?
Whatever you want to do.
Okay.
You're first, so you get to pick.
If this is power, then I'm setting it at 5 o'clock. It will be no more than 15 minutes and it may be shorter than that.
But Mr. Jones, we got the board supposed to be coming to give an update, so I could email Lynn Bush and tell her 5:30. They're normally used to it being at 5, but they're
If
coming
you
for
want,
an item.
then let me do 5:30 then.
Okay.
I just like, because they're coming to do an update
You
on
got
one of your
the,
items.
you got the school board excuse, so.
Okay.
So we'll
Since
set
you're
Public Works for-
liaison, that puts you in a
Well, yeah,
bit of
much
a...
less that, yeah. So, yeah, all right, we'll set Public Works for 5:30. Thank you guys for your indulgence.
That'll work.
Sorry, Mr. Wright, I was just reminding you.
That's okay. I can always hope for the next time, so.
I'm pretty sure y'all have an item carried over for the school.
But never forget, you were first.
I appreciate this permanent change, Mr. President.
Mr. White?
Just a reminder, we already talked about it, but the Ward 4 Library Board position, we'll have interviews tomorrow at 5:30 and 6, if anyone wants to be there. And secondly, the Ward 3 and Ward 4 representatives will be holding a public meeting about the negotiations between Sanford and the city. That'll be this Sunday, the 14th at 4 PM in the library auditorium. So anyone that wants to attend, please feel free. We'll be there and discuss where we are with it and try to answer any questions that anybody has.
All right.
That's it. Thank you.
You're not setting any meetings, are you, Mr. White?
Not that I know of, no.
For the missing people? Okay, Mr. Jones, 5 o'clock for finance.
5 o'clock for finance. We also have a bid opening at 4:45 for the tree planting, so that'll be,
Good.
we'll be opening that at 4:45. But I just wanted to thank everyone who put together all the festivities in Homewood for the 4th of July, and I thought the fireworks were great. I appreciate the council supporting the bicentennial. I thought everything went really well and well attended, and just thank you for the support. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Mr. McCluskey?
Yes, I'll set public safety for, excuse me, how long do you need, Mr. Wright?
15.
15 minutes? Yeah. Okay. So I'll do 5:45 for public safety.
For how long?
And I'll only need 15 minutes. I've only got one agenda item.
Good.
Yeah, and that's it for tonight.
Thank you. Mr. Higginbotham?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess I'll set special issues for 6 o'clock. I only see 3 items, so I'm going to be optimistic and say 15 minutes. Doesn't look like it'll take that long to get through them.
Good. Anything else?
No, sir. That's it tonight.
Thank you. Mr. Times?
I will set P&D for is it 6:15, Mike? 6:15? That's it.
How long, just because they like I know, but,
It may be the 30 minutes.
okay, so 6:15 to 6:45. Good. Thank you, Mr. Thames. Mr. Gwaltney?
I'll just reiterate Councilor Jones' good thoughts about the 4th of July Festival. This is the first time I've been in town in 6 years to experience it, so it was a breath of fresh air, because usually we're doing our own fireworks, so where we are, but it was really good. Also, I wanted to thank everybody for those of you that came out, the public and councilors, for the public input meetings related to the downtown code and zoning update, and also the first round of the citywide sign ordinance. We had a lot of good feedback. We made a lot of adjustments, and we're nearing the end for the zoning update. So.
Good. Mayor, I want to apologize. My problem, my problem was this whole change-up.
I certainly did not mean to usurp the mayor's authority. Let's be, as a matter of
Kennedy.
record, let's be clear about that.
We'll anticipate getting to you this week, the contract dealing with the Green Springs property. If it's possible, I'd like to refer it to the next committee for consider and discuss.
Sure. We'll add that to the agenda. Thank you. Yes, we'll add it.
Consideration of Green Springs property.
Do we need to re-vote on committee referral, adding that? No. Okay, we'll add that. With that, the council is adjourned. Thank you. I know. We're pretty good. 48 minutes. I promised it would be an hour.
He will. I'm guessing.